video with your host, RenTen ASMR. In today's video, I will be doing a Week 7 NFL predictions. So, stick around to find out if I have your team winning or losing in this week's matchups. To start off, I'm going to read off which teams are facing a bye week this week. So, no win, no loss, just rest. And on bye this week, we have got the Carolina Panthers. So, they can't lose a game. That's pretty good for them. That's all they've been doing this year. The Cincinnati Bengals, which is probably a good time for them, started off rough. I've started to turn things around, and it might be good to give T. Higgins some more time to heal up. After that, the Dallas Cowboys, they get to enter the bye week with a nice victory against the Chargers. I'm sure their spirits are feeling good after that awful performance against the Niners. A good time to take a break for them to figure out what to do right and wrong. After that, you've got the Houston Texans. They've had an up and down season. I was expecting only down, so the fact that they're any ups at all is something to be happy about. CJ Stroud looks pretty good, and they're in a position to compete in this AFC surprisingly. So also nice for them to be able to reflect on what is working and what is not. Then you've got the New York Jets. These guys, they've been somehow winning games. They've hung around in a lot of them. Some surprising wins, some surprising losses. They just came off of a victory against the Eagles that I don't think many people were predicting. They almost beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills. So for some reason, when it comes to good teams, the Jets can really play. Their defense is unreal. But they also lost to the Patriots. So it's like, what the hell's going on, man? But yeah, I'm sure more time for Zach Wilson and that group to grow some chemistry will be nice. And then you've got the Titans, lastly. Ryan Tannehill went down in the last game. To be honest, if I'm the Titans, I don't like my roster. I don't like what we have. I wasn't high on this team going into the season. I'm still not very high on the team. Obviously, they can win a lot of games, and they do. They're not sitting at a bad record at all. But if I am then, I am not going to try out Malik Willis any further. Every time he's been in, it's been alright. Throw in Will Levis. I don't know how to say his name, but he was drafted this year in the second round. See what you have in him. Tannehill is getting older. He's not going to last forever. Malik Willis is okay as a passer. They've had a lot of games where he really couldn't throw the ball that well. He's nice and mobile, but watching the end of that game, his pocket awareness is not that good. He needs to be better at throwing the ball away, and mistakes like that are going to bump up Will Levis on this quarterback ranking. So they're gonna have to figure out a lot this week about what they want this season to look like. Now that we have concluded the bye week teams, we can move into this week's slate. Starting off on Thursday night, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars visiting the New Orleans Saints. The Jaguars are sitting at a healthy 4-2, while the Saints are sitting at 3-3. Last week, the Jaguars, I sincerely do not remember. I think they took a bye week. I'm pretty sure they were on the bye after their 2 London games in a row. That is what I'm going to go with. And the Saints, on the other hand, they suffered a loss. Wow, I really can't remember. Let me look this up, actually. I'm sorry, this is embarrassing. Week 6 NFL. Yeah, okay. The Saints lost to the Texans, that's right. And the Jaguars beat the Colts, so I was way off. As the weeks pass, my memory gets more hazy. Early in the season, it's so quick to remember who played what team when and how they did. But 7 weeks in, and it's starting to get a bit jumbled. Patriots. And so 2 weeks ago they probably looked fantastic, but then they come out flat against this Texans team, and a little bit of Derek Carr injury, a little bit of just mismanagement. They just haven't looked amazing. The Jaguars, on the other hand, coming off a 17-point victory against the Colts. They also beat the Bills on the last week, like the week before. So these guys are rolling, and I think that they have the better offense for sure. So I think that the Jaguars get ahead in this game, and that the Saints are unable to catch up. Derek Carr has not been the same comeback king as he once was. So yeah, I'm going with the Jaguars getting a Thursday night victory in New Orleans. Next up, you have the 5-1 Detroit Lions visiting the 4-2 Baltimore Ravens. Now this has the potential to be a nice game. The Ravens are quite interesting this year, though they have won their fair share of games. They did have a very puzzling couple of losses in there. They lost to the Colts, and another loss somewhere earlier in the season, whereas the Lions have won their last 4 matchups by over 14 points, at least 14 points. So the Lions they're wheeling and dealing, they're doing some business. Obviously last week you have David Montgomery exiting with a rib cartilage injury, but filling in for him will be Craig Reynolds, and Jahmyr Gibbs is back. So I'm not too worried about the Lions' rushing attack. And it's hard when a team has done that well for 4 straight games. It is hard to say that they're going to come out and lose. Obviously, their competition wasn't to the caliber of the Ravens, but then again, the Ravens couldn't beat the Colts. So, how good are the Ravens, really? And so, yeah, looking at their last week's matchups, just as a refresher, you've got the Ravens beating the Titans 24-16, just barely inching them out at the last moments. They kicked a lot of field goals in that game, settled for a lot of 3-point plays instead of getting full touchdowns. And that might cost them against the Lions, because the Lions' offense has been nice. Last week, not as much so, scoring only 20 points from the Lions, but they only allowed the Buccaneers to score 6 points. So, both sides of the balls, these Lions have been nice, and I think they keep it up. I think they move on to 6-1. They are one of the best teams in the NFL, as puzzling as that is, and I have them getting a victory over the Ravens. After that, you have the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Chicago to play against the Bears. Now, the Bears are sitting at 1-5, whereas the Raiders are sitting at 3-3. But this is also a game where you have possibly 2 backup quarterbacks facing each other, with I don't know what's his name, like Darren Egerton something, Talon Badgley. What was that guy's name? The Bears quarterback, Justin Fields, is out. Tyson Bagent. Yeah, I've never heard of this guy before in my life. He did not have that great of a week. And on the other side of it, you have Brian Hoyer. Now, Brian Hoyer is not a starting caliber quarterback. He works as a mentor. Sometimes he can finish out games when it's garbage time, but he is not someone you actually want to start in games. So, if the Bears had Fields in this game, I'm probably going with the Bears. But considering they're both backups and Brian Hoyer is a known entity, and the Raiders sit at a better ranking, I'm going to go with the Raiders winning this matchup. Unfortunate for the Bears. They could have picked up their second victory here, but this does help with their draft odds right now, so I'm sure they're not too disappointed by it. They're more likely hoping that Justin Fields is doing okay with this dislocated thumb. After that, you've got the 3-2 Cleveland Browns traveling to Indianapolis to play against the Colts. The Browns, they switched it up 2 weeks ago. They played DTR, and that did not work for loss in London against the Jaguars, and then they had a bad performance against the Giants, where they scored 14 points, and I think all 14 came in either the fourth quarter or the second half, and so it took a while for them to get it going, but once they did, they were able to get the win and put it away. A little bit of a controversial ending with a pass interference call that wasn't called, but the Bills, I saw this post recently that said that Josh Allen plays to the caliber of his opponents, and if that's the case, then maybe the Patriots have a shot, because, like, the Patriots are so bad, and if Josh Allen comes out and plays like us, there's a chance, but he really has owned us in the last couple years, and I don't think that changes. I think the Bills are probably winning by like 14 points, if I'm being honest. I hope not, for my own sake. I hope that is not the case, but being realistic, that is likely what's going to happen. Moving on, you have the Washington Commanders traveling to New York to play against the New York Giants. The Commanders just lost. Wait, no. I'm thinking of 2 weeks ago. They lost against the Bears 2 weeks ago, and this past week, the Commanders won against the Falcons, so they are coming off a victory, whereas the Giants lost on Monday night, scoring, 6 points? Yeah, 9 points, okay, my bad. They didn't score a touchdown in that game. There are multiple games this season where the Giants have been unable to score a touchdown. The Commanders' defense isn't that great. Obviously, they allowed like 42 points to the Bears, but the Commanders are just a better team. 3-3 is a lot better than 1-5. Commanders have won some games, and the Giants really only beat the Cardinals, and that too was barely. Like, they barely caught up in that game. So I have no faith in these Giants right now. I can't believe the disastrous turnaround from last year. I really thought they got better, but apparently not. I think that Chase Young has a nice night. I think he's playing, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't been injured yet. But yeah, Chase Young, I think, can devour against this Giants O-line. So I'm expecting the Commanders. They've gotten like 3 sacks in their last few games. It might be a 5-sack day for them. But yeah, Commanders victory over the Giants. After that, you have the race for first place in the NFC South. You've got the 3-3 Atlanta Falcons visiting the 3-2 Buccaneers. Desmond Ridder just lost his first ever home game last week, and the Buccaneers, they lost kind of harshly, but against a good Lions team. And so you've got the Buccaneers trying to turn things around. They only scored 6 points in that game. I'm sure that they're not happy with themselves. They're going to want to turn it around. They came out flat out of their bye week, but now they've had more time to get things in motion. They'll build up once again. And the Falcons, they are so streaky, like very up and down team. Kind of hard to predict. And so I just don't have faith in them. There's very little consistency from this team. Desmond Ridder 1 week plays great and 1 week plays horribly. And I think last week was another performance to forget. So basing it off of that and the fact that they're on the road, I'm going to say that the Buccaneers stand their home field advantage and get a victory against the Falcons to retain first place in the NFC South. Next, you've got the 3-2 Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Los Angeles to play against the Rams. Truly baffling. I don't know at all in this game. Sean McVay versus Mike Tomlin. You've got Matthew Stafford now having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams is out in this game. On the Steelers side of the ball, I think you get Deontay Johnson back. First time he'll be seeing the field since like week 2 when he got hurt. But you still have Matt Canada running the offense. I believe the Steelers said they have no plans to fire Matt Canada, which is a ridiculous thing to say. I don't know why you would ever protect that guy. So yeah, can the Steelers offense overcome Matt Canada? against this Rams defense. The Rams defense is alright. They did a good job eliminating the Cardinals, but the Cardinals also aren't that great. I'm gonna go Rams. Yeah, I don't feel super confident about it. You know, the Steelers are obviously pretty well coached, but the Rams have McVay all years except last year. McVay is nice. Yeah, this is a hard one. This is probably the hardest one that I've had so far today. But I will say that the Rams win marginally, not by a lot. I don't view this as a very high-scoring game. I think that they win by like 4 points. Moving on, you have the Arizona Cardinals going to Seattle to play against the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks win this game. The Seahawks didn't play that well. Geno Smith had a 2-interception game, looking like the old Geno Smith rather than the new one that we've seen in these last couple years. And that obviously is bad, but he had a similar bad week in week 1, and he bounced back in a great way. And I think that he can do that again against this 1-5 Cardinals team. The Cardinals, in a lot of weeks, they've put up a fight. Last week, not as much the case. The Rams really beat down on them, but no, there's no but. Actually, yeah, I think they're gonna get beat down again. So yeah, Seahawks victory over the Cardinals. Then moving on, you have the 2-3 Green Bay Packers going to Denver to play against the 1-5 Broncos. Sorry, that was way louder than I thought it would be. The Broncos are truly struggling, you know. They didn't do that well against the Chiefs last week, and now they get to go against the Packers, who are coming off a bye week. They have time to be more healthy. I think Aaron Jones has more time for that. Hamstring. Jordan Love, maybe he is better on the turnovers. If Christian Watson was still hurt, then he recovered a little more. So yeah, coming off the bye is good for them. The Broncos have like a mini bye week, you know, considering they played on Thursday night. But the Broncos are just so bad. They have surprised me just as much as the Giants have. These teams, not good at all. Both ones I thought had playoff aspirations, and they're telling me in the rudest way possible that they are not trying to make the playoffs. So yeah, I'm gonna go Packers in this game. Sorry, Broncos. After that, you got the 2-3 Los Angeles Chargers going to Kansas City to play against the Chiefs. Now, I like Justin Herbert. He's a good quarterback for sure. But the Chargers are sitting at 2-3. Since drafting Justin Herbert, they have made the playoffs once, which was last year. And in that performance, they also gave up a 27-point lead. Now, I know you're saying, like, how is this all relevant and stuff like that, but this Chargers team consistently underperforms compared to the level of talent that they have. Keenan Allen, top 10 wide receiver probably. You've got Justin Herbert, definite top 10 quarterback. You have a ton of big names on defense. Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack. The team should not be as bad as it is, and you can say that is Brandon Staley's fault. You can say that is Chiefs, they're on top right now, you know. Travis Kelce is back. With his face on the defense. Chris Jones is back. Ever since then, they've been fine. Had a not that impressive victory over the Broncos. This offense isn't as good as it has been, but the Chargers defense sucks against the passing. So, like, another good day for Travis Kelce, I'm sure. And yeah, the Chiefs get a victory in this game. But yeah, Chargers. Obviously, Chargers fans can't do anything. I'm just like rubbing salt in your wounds, and I'm sorry for that. But I sympathize, you know. And lastly, you've actually got a great matchup in this one. This is the Sunday night game. It is the 5-1 Miami Dolphins traveling to Philadelphia to play against the 5-1 Eagles. The Eagles just recently suffered their first loss of the season against the New York Jets, and the Dolphins are coming off a big victory against the Panthers. They started off that game losing 14-0, and they ended up winning the game 42-21. So it's not over till it's over for these Dolphins for sure. Their only loss being the Bills, and in that game they definitely lost pretty bad, but the Eagles, shoot, man, the Eagles secondary hasn't been that nice, to be honest. They've allowed some people to go off. I know that Justin Jefferson had a nice game. I know that the Patriots had quite a few people do pretty well against them. Who was it the Eagles played this past week? I think Garrett Wilson was solid. Obviously, you let Zach Wilson win, so defense couldn't have been that great. And yeah, Tua throwing to Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, you got Mostert. How are the Eagles going to keep up? I really think that the Dolphins win this game. As crazy as it is, I feel like they're the better team. The Eagles, that loss last week, I think completely changed my perspective on them. Had they won, I'm sure I would have picked them to win again this week, but seeing them lose like that, yeah, going Dolphins here. And lastly, you have the 5-1 49ers visiting Minnesota to play against the 2-4 Vikings. 49ers victory. Yeah, the Vikings, they have beat the Bears, and they beat like one other team that wasn't that good. What was it, the Panthers? Yeah. They've only been able to beat really bad teams. Justin Jefferson is out. The offense doesn't look necessarily as good without him, obviously, but and the 49ers offense looked really bad last week, but the Vikings defense is not nearly as good as the Cleveland Browns defense, and so I think they'll turn around. They'll be much better this week, and they will probably win this game by a lot.